Hello everyone, in RxJava free tutorial part 3. In this video we are going to learn a few more observable creation methods, and let's start with some coding right away. Firstly, I will show you a range observable factory method. So let's declare our observable. It will be of type integer because range operator actually returns observable of type integer. Let's name it observable and let's declare our range method. So a range method takes two parameters. First is start parameter, and basically this is the number which will be emitted firstly by our observable. So let's put maybe 2. And we have also count parameter, we need to pass that. And this count parameter says that how many times this observable will emit items. And the important thing is that when observable emits the items, each subsequent emission is incremented by 1. So let's see how it looks in practice. So I will subscribe to our observable and I will use the simplest overload of the subscribe. So I'm interested only in the onNext callback, and if you would like to see, let's say, full implementation and how observable, let's say, speaks with the observer when you want to utilize on next, on error, on complete, you can check previous videos. But in this video we just make things simple. So let's implement our onNext callback and print our items to the console. So once again, we start from 2, count is 5. It means that we emit item 5 times, and with each subsequent emission this number will be incremented by 1. So let's have a look at this, and as you can see we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's continue with another factory method. Now I'm going to describe interval operator. So let's declare our observable. This will be of type long because interval factory method returns observable of type long. Let's call it interval observable. And as you can see, interval has 4 overloads. So we are going to use the most often used probably. And what we are going to pass is period, which will be 1. And we need to pass time unit, and for simplicity we just pass time unit seconds here. So we subscribe to our newly declared observable. And we'll print the items emitted by this observable. In order to keep our program not closing, I'm going to create some scanner and wait for the next line. So having that, we prevent our program from closing, so we can actually see how it behaves. Let's comment that because we don't need that, and run that guy. So as you can see, interval observable emits items starting from 0, 1 by 1, and of course you can manipulate the parameters here so you can achieve what you want for your scenario. The next factory method which I'm going to present you is very similar to the interval. It's called timer, and let's declare our observable and I will show you the difference. So it also returns observable of type long. Let's call it timer observable, and let's create our observable. So as you can see, timer has very similar structure to the interval. I mean the method signature. This time instead of period we are passing delay, so let's declare 5, and we're also using the seconds. So what observable timer does is when this time passes, it emits the item, and that's it. So after emission just one item, when this delay passes, our observable emits on next just once and then completes. Let's have a look how it works in practice. I'm using item here, but I think that I will not utilize that in the method body. I will simply write something like this. 5 seconds passed. Okay, so let's comment that because it will introduce some mess to our console. So after our program runs, the 5-second passes and this on next callback will be invoked, and then our observable just completes. Let's run that. So as you can see, 5 seconds passed and our timer observable emits no more item. So this is how timer observable works in practice. The last factor method which I'm going to present to you is a bit more complex in comparison to the previous ones, because it takes action as a parameter, which is some object we need to implement, and also it doesn't return observable, but it returns completable. So basically this completable notifies us that some action completed, in case it completed without any errors, of course, because if some error is thrown, our completable invokes on error callback. So let's see how it looks in practice. As I said, our from action needs some action as a parameter, so let's create one. And we are going to use action from RxJava free functions. Let's call it action. Let's open that file, and as you can see, action is a functional interface which has just one method, so we can use the lambda functions, and now we are going to implement that method. So let's say that we are going to have action which simply prints something to the console. Let's declare our completable. And one thing to notice, as you can see, observable also has from action method, and it actually returns observable of some type T, but to be honest, using from action with the completable is, in my opinion, just much more natural. So we'll be using from action method basing on completable. So we are going to pass action, which we created here, and let's subscribe to our newly created completable. So I'm typing completable, subscribe, and as you can see, we can choose on complete callback. So we need to implement on complete method. So this actually takes no parameters, and I'm printing to the console action ends. Okay, let's start our program and see what happens. So first of all, as you can see, our program printed hello world. This is because when we subscribe, to the completable. Firstly, our action is invoked, is performed. So in our case, hello world is printed. And when this action is completed, our onComplete callback was called and action ends is printed. Of course, this is something that comes from our previous example. Okay, that's all for today. If you would like to see some other factory methods, you can visit RxJava free GitHub wiki page. And in the next video, we are going to focus on different types of observable. So we are going to describe single, maybe completable, observable, and when we should use particular type. So thank you for today and see you soon. Bye.